Senior Director of Animal Care.
Director of Animal Care.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Jones, Vice President of Conservation and Education here at the Houston Zoo. I'm here along with Tara Cornelius, Director of Animal Care here at Houston Zoo. It's so good to be with you. We just wanted to update you a little bit on what's going on here on our campus. Thank you so much for all the support through last week and Hurricane Beryl. We kind of got a wallop when it came to trees and the landscape here at the zoo. A little bit of building damage too, but we have been working all week to get back on our feet, and we've been open this week. Had an amazing crowds over the weekend and having guests here now. And the campus looks so good after a hard week of work by our team. We just wanted to kind of welcome you back out, come back out and check everything out anytime. We love to see you here. I helped lead the ride out team along with Lisa Marie Avendano. We were the incident commanders. I was the deputy, and I got to help be here and lead the recovery efforts of the zoo last week. And was just going to share with you a little bit about how that went and give you some of the insights into it. We have an incident emergency management plan. So that is what scripts all of our steps as we prepare for different sorts of emergencies that might come through the region, mostly weather events. So that could be a freeze or a hurricane like last week. We take a look at that plan and we make sure everything's in place. You can imagine with almost 6,000 animals here, we've got a plan for a lot to keep everybody happy, healthy, and secure through a weather event. So one thing we got to do is make sure we've got generators on order to bring in and keep all the animals cool, make sure their animal welfare is the highest standards like we adhere to at the zoo. Also food, we've got to have a food plan, not only for the animals, but for the whole ride out team that stays and spend the night here at the zoo with us. That was some 70 or so staff that spent 2 nights here with us at the zoo. We got to know where they're going to sleep, how we're going to feed everybody, how we're going to keep everybody safe. So our emergency management plan guides all that work for us. So we went through all of that. We got everything together. We got the call that we were riding out over the weekend. Everybody came together Sunday. We gathered together, made a plan for the week ahead, and then spent the next few days here at the zoo making sure everybody was safe and sound. There's been an incredible amount of recovery efforts across the zoo. When you come back out to visit, you'll see it. The place is looking so great. And that's thanks to our amazing animal care teams working with all the animal staff here and our awesome horticulture team doing great work across the campus, and all the teams across the zoo coming together, facilities, grounds and housekeeping, everybody to do their jobs to get us back on our feet. Want to send a shout out to all of them.
Are cleanup efforts complete?
Are the efforts complete? Not fully complete. Our children's zoo still closed because it was highly impacted. Thankfully, all animals were safe there, and we've just got to continue cleaning up. Also, our gorilla troops are right now not out on their main habitat. They are indoors and visible in their day room, and also the other troop is outside as well. Not visible, but the main habitat requires a little bit more work. Tree trimming, brush trimming. We got to just make sure it's as safe and secure as possible before they go back out on habitat. And I know they're eager to do so as soon as we get that ready, which might take a day or two more. I want to pass it over to Tara right now. She'll update us on what's happening with the animals.
So hello, I am Tara. I'm the Director of Animal Care, as Ben said. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about what it is like to prepare for a hurricane when you have wild animals that live in a zoo, because it is not actually very dissimilar to what you do at home. So like Ben said, we have a list of all of the things that we want to make sure that we have for our animals, like the elephants. So we have water stored up on standby. We make sure we have a stockpile of food, and we have all of their medications. So very similar to what you would do for yourself or your pets at home. So we want to make sure we have all of that. Also, we have animal care staff that stay in the animal areas where it's safe to keep an eye on the animals during the storm. I know that was a big concern of a lot of people. What do the animals do during the storm? It varies. Some animals don't, like our elephants, slept They were fine. They did everything that they normally do. They're pretty resilient animals. So they just kind of hung out in their barn with their keepers. The keepers checked on them. For all the animals throughout the zoo, the keepers would check on them when the weather allowed, and make sure that they had food that they needed, any medications they needed, and then they would hunker back down when more of the storm came through. So we prepare very much like you would at home here at the zoo. Just in each area, we do it slightly different depending on the animals and the animals' needs. We do have some water resources behind the scenes that you don't see, where we collect some rainwater and all that sort of stuff, so we can use that. Our water quality team will test it, make sure it's safe to either clean with or feed or give to the animals for water, use for any food preparation, any of those sorts of things. So we really work together as a team. And I will say, during an emergency is when you see all of our training. We prepare for emergencies all the time here at the zoo. People, animal, weather, any of those things we test, we drill, all those things. So it's muscle memory. And man, when we have to push play on all that muscle memory, it works so well. And then what we do after every single emergency is we all get back together and say what went really well that we want to make sure we repeat, and what are some hiccups that we had along the way that maybe we could do better next time. Thankfully, we didn't have anything that went what I would call wrong. Our animals were well cared for. Well, our people were well cared for. And so it went pretty well for a bad situation. I will say, as one of the first people that rode around right after the storm hit to make sure that animals, especially some of our larger animals, were safe and secure, to see the original damage of all the beautiful trees was really tough. I was like, wow, there's going to be a ton of cleanup, but what made me really happy was all the animal enclosures were safe and secure, and that is one of the most important things, is to make sure that we have the best safe opportunity for our animals to live their best lives here at the Houston Zoo. And we were closed, as most of you know, for 5 days. So a lot of people ask, what do the animals do? Well, there was a ton going on. So yes, we didn't have guests, but holy cow, did we have people. Cleanup crews. We had our horticulture team plus multiple tree crews. Again, we're also in the city of Houston, so we had to wait for availability as well, and making sure that we could clean up. The nice thing about having big trees down is once they were cut up, we could feed out the edible parts to animals. Our elephants got big, huge pieces of trees that they don't always get, so they were very excited to have lots of tree trunks to throw around, pieces of leaves to kind of swat themselves at each other with. They had a blast. So we had the opportunity to do a lot of that. Our bug house, they also got our little inverts, got some browse that they don't normally get because it fell from high up in the trees. And so our entomology keeper was out, some huge smile on her face, collecting some of this great plant material that our bugs don't normally get to gnaw on. So they also got to reap a little bit of the benefits. So we were really happy with how well our plan worked. And I think we know a lot of things that we practiced that we had to put in reality of where now we have some practice with it. We know what it looks like in the future.
Hey Tara, we did get a question from a guest online asking, so some of their animals, like their dogs, were maybe clingier to them post-storm. Did any of the animals at the zoo exhibit similar behavior?
My dog did the exact same thing, so I understand that. Most of our animals didn't. They're not strangers to storms. I will say Chuck, our newest elephant, this was his first hurricane. He was such a champ. He was such a champ. Yeah, he did great. And so I don't think we've noticed a ton of different behaviors, other than there are some animals that we had to move out of exhibits. So we had a large tree go down in our goat yard, so we needed to move them to just a different part of the goat yard. So they definitely acted a little bit different because they didn't have the whole yard to play in, just a smaller part of the yard. But they did get a lot of tree limbs that they could climb on, which they did really quite enjoy. So we haven't noticed any huge differences with our animals in their behavior, other than, there's a lot of tree cutting, which doesn't normally happen during the day at the zoo. So I think affected to that, but less during the storm.
We do have a question again for Ben. You want to pass the mic back over? What was it like to lead the ride-out crew last week?
Wow. Well, it was a real honor to lead the ride out crew, or to help with the leading the ride out crew. Yeah, it was just amazing to see these professionals all come together, kind of as Tara referenced, and just do the job that they know so well. Passion's one of our Sioux core values here, and that's all about caring for our animals and helping save wildlife. And that you could see shine through across every team that gathered. So it made me really proud. Now, I'd never been in a ride out crew before, so I was a little bit apprehensive. I didn't know exactly what to expect. But, I got my sleeping materials and everything. I got an extra blanket, wasn't sure what exactly to bring, but brought it all to the office and got it in place and kind of set up and got ready to ride it out, and literally. And then the next day, it wasn't so bad if you remember on Monday morning. It was a little bit windy and kind of rainy. We saw some limbs down. We did an early morning survey of the zoo. We wanted to see what went on overnight. We kind of thought, what? Not so bad. We all hunkered together at breakfast just to kind of make sure everybody was in place and ready to go for the day. While we were at breakfast, we took out on our, afterward, we set out across the campus to go check on everything. And while we were out and about looking at everything, the winds got crazy. The leaves and the trees started blowing wild. We could see some fencing, some of the shade cloth on the fencing flapping really hard. And Lisa Marie and I said to ourselves, this isn't feeling safe. We need to get inside. And what we did was call a shelter in place. That means all the staff stay right where they are. They seek shelter. They stay in place until it's safe to move out and about again for a bit. So we had to call that. We were in a cart. We were driving as fast as we could to get back to our headquarters building. Lisa Marie called the shelter in place on the radio. And that's when we realized, oh boy, this storm's probably going to be more than we saw in the early hours of the morning. So sure enough, we hunkered down. The heavy winds passed through. We could see it from the windows in the building. We didn't know what to expect when we left, but as it got safe to go back and check things out, that's when we saw dozens of trees toppled over, the plants whipped up, some fence damage, and some building damage here at the zoo. So I guess I'd say it was an incredible experience. I felt really proud to be part of our team here and to do what we could to take great care of our animals here on campus. Was so proud of the team and all the great work that they did.
Ben, how many days was the ride out crew at the zoo?
The ride out crew was at the zoo for 2 nights. So we went from ride out into a phase that we call recovery. So that's where people really aren't spending the night at the zoo unless they need to. And then we move into having additional people come in, take back onto campus and assess the damage that's done, and then begin taking action and pulling the teams together to recover the zoo. So ride out was for 2 nights and then right into recovery. That's how we did it.
We do have another question, Tara, for you. If you guys want to flip it actually over the other way. That's the mic. Do any of the animals particularly enjoy the rain or mud?
Do any of the animals enjoy the rain or the mud? Yes. Well, the elephants love mud. If you've ever seen an elephant rolling around in the mud, or they go in the water, go roll around in the dirt, then go back in the water, and then go roll around in the dirt. So they really enjoy it. We do have kuni pigs in our children's zoo, and they had a lot of water and a big mud pit, and they were very happy, as you can imagine. And then also a lot of our waterfowl, so ducks and geese, the water levels rose in the pools, and that is so fun for them. They were, I call it dancing, but kind of moving their feet around, trying to find some new different bugs to snack on, any of that sort of stuff. So there definitely are animals that were thrilled with the extra rain and extra water that we brought on here. Some a little less so. Our cats were all safely inside, most of which aren't huge fans of the rain. Also, our goats don't particularly care for the rain, and they were safely under shelter.
Are there certain animals that guests should look out for, like on the next rainy day?
Oh, our zebras stayed out the whole time. And zebras in general aren't usually the most relaxed animal. Our 2 zebras are great. They were having a blast. They were chomping on different leaves that they don't normally get. They were just kind of wandering around their enclosure, really enjoying it. They watched us go by as we were checking out the damage from the zoo with our golf carts. So there's animals like that definitely prefer when it's a little bit quieter. A lot of times the best time to see a lot of our animals is when it's overcast and a little bit rainy, and there's not a lot of people in the zoo. You're going to see them do some cool behaviors that they would do when it starts raining in the wild. Some animals come out for the rain. Some animals don't even care. They keep on with their regular life, and some of them, again, like our goats, get really fluffy and try to go under shelter. So yeah, they exhibit some really cool behaviors when it rains.
I think that is all the questions we had for today, but we are good to wrap up if you guys are.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Facebook Live for our storm wrap up here at the Houston Zoo. Like Ben said, we're looking great, so please feel free to come out and visit. And if you're one of the few that still don't have power, we do have some air conditioned areas, so please come enjoy a little bit of AC here at the Houston Zoo. And I hope everybody was safe and comfortable as you could be through our hurricane. So thank you so much.
Thank y'all.